Hello everyone, I'm Lisa Wind. I've just blown in. And today we are back with more Seduce Me 2, the Otome. Last time, we completed Damien's route. Yay. And today we are starting a new route. Awesome, right? I will acknowledge I have been away for a while. For reasons. To begin with, Damien's route creeps me out a little. As someone that was, for lack of a word, molested by a family member growing up, and it was from childhood through teen years into my early 20s, the thought of being grabbed by anyone is not, sexy or hot. To me, it's no danger. And Damien's route, if you watched part 1, and if you haven't, please go back and watch part 1. I need the views. Also, I will be using the skip button later on, so yeah. Back. Okay. Hello again. Hello from the future, or by the time you actually get to see this, the past. Yeah. Fun thing. When I went to put my footage into the editing hopper, yeah, the first 20 minutes of the video were gone. So, yeah, this is new content you're hearing. My apologies. Yeah. So, yeah, in addition to what was said in the first intro of, yeah, my trauma and why I have a hard time getting on board with the Damien romance. Because, yeah, my first time coming into Seduce Me 2 blind, yeah, beeline for Damien, he was my favorite romance. And I could not get the air quotes good endings or happy endings without, playing along with the whole grabby and sucky of energy when Damien's drunk. Yeah. It put me off so much that I actually did not come back and do any of the other routes until I did the Let's Play for my channel. So, yeah. Not a good time. Especially where in the first game they made it really clear of you didn't have to have the sexy sex to get the good ending. I genuinely feel this was a failure on the game dev's part. I don't really know why they forced this. Then again, maybe back when I played it, that was a bug, not a feature. Maybe it's been fixed since. I honestly don't know. All of my Let's Play, I will admit, I have been using walkthroughs to show you as much content as possible. I hope that's been okay. Yeah. Other news of why I have not quite been as gung-ho for recording. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably already know this, but my mom passed away in February. And it has hit me just really hard, and yeah, I started this year super excited for my wedding and getting to show my parents my life over here in Sweden where I live now, because they've never come over to see me in all the years that I've lived abroad. And the wedding was supposed to be the first time they were going to come over. And now, well, it's April. It's not April. It was April the first time I shot this. And then the last week of May, when we started counting invitations, see, okay, who 100% is coming to both the ceremony as well as the dinner reception afterward. And we needed a head count. And my dad decided he did not want to come at all. And that has really... it's hurt me more than I care to admit. The same guy that within 5 minutes of telling me, your mom's dead, you need to be brave, you need to be strong, this is the one time I should have been allowed to cry, and he could not deal with that. is now not being brave and strong when I need him to physically be here for me. Because he is what I have left. Yeah. So it has not been a fun few months for me. Even though, realistically, this wedding is something I've been looking forward to for so many years. Okay. Well, with all that raw nerves out of the way, let's recapture the game footage that's been lost. My apologies if this was a bit rambly. And if there's also a dip in audio between the recordings, I will try to fix this in post, but yeah, post is... On a good day, I'm okay at it. In my current mental state, I will admit I do not have the patience for it. I should. But with that said, let's get into the game again. Let's focus on fictional characters' problems and not my own. Okay, let's do this one more time. So, hello again from future, although it'll be past by the time you see this. This is take 3 on this edit. When I was trying to put the footage together from the first 2 takes, I didn't like the way it looked. I sounded very panicky, and if I felt uncomfortable listening to it, I cannot imagine how it would come across to just a casual viewer. So I'm actually going to try one more stab at this, and we'll see how this goes. Alright, we are doing the Blackheart, which is Damien's route.
Hold
Hi,
on there.
Kay.
Before you start the game, I need to ask you a few things.
No, you
Don't
don't.
want you getting lost now.
Because we've already done this many, many times before. Yeah, I'm cool.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, awesome.
Nah, I'm good.
All right then. Oh,
And Diana, and we're in the human world with my very cute husband, or to-be future husband, and my character's name is Mika, because I actually do not remember what I called her. Well, the Mika that would have romanced Damien in the first game. It's the next day, and...
Must be dumb, huh? A grown man with a cute toy like that?
Nah. It's not. It's alright. And no way, it's cute. You know what? No way, it's cute. You deserve cute things because you yourself are cute. That's not at all condescending. And we've seen what happens if we pick this option, so I'm gonna skip ahead. Nightmare time. Wake up from nightmare. I had to listen to one or the other. And scrolling back. Do we listen to our logic or do we listen to our body? And I think we should listen to our body. Who's with me? And we are going to have fun times with Damien, but we've had this fun time with Damien before, so I am going to skip ahead again. I do believe I warned people that as I am doing an All Paths Let's Play, if you are interested in seeing all of the dialogue, go back to the first section for each boy, and you will eventually see all of the dialogue, but I only have so much time to record and edit during the day, so yeah. I need to use the skip button where I can. Onward! And Shadow D, and I end up in the demon world, and, you know, that's no good. And, you know what? I think I'm gonna scream, because my character was supposed to be on her way to getting married, and instead, a void opened up under her in her dress, and creepy hands grabbed her and pulled her here. And as someone that does not like being grabbed, that sounds like hell to me. So let us, you know, let off a primeval scream, shall we? I needed to. I had to. My anger and sadness bubbled and boiled until the need to scream pressed against my throat, forcing me to let it go. And for the sake of those listening for headphones, I will not be screaming. Just know it says ah, and it's not a singing note. And Diana looks very ticked at me that I'm not screaming for her. As my scream escaped me, the other beings in the room jumped back and covered their ears. My scream wasn't weak. I'd hope not. I have many years of choral training. It was loud and bounced around the room in an endless echo, echo, echo. I didn't care if my throat would hurt. I didn't care that I also felt the pain on my shriek. I needed to scream and let out my sadness. Why was this happening? Why? Yeah, that's a valid question. I'm pretty sure we'll find out, though. Why? Mika pissed. I wrapped my arms around my body, letting the scream use up all of the air in my lungs. It wasn't helping, but I just needed some sort of release. And my fiancé is somewhere else entirely, so what else am I gonna do?
Damn it, stop!
There. All of a sudden, my body began to heat up, and I felt my voice dissipate into silence. I was a little dizzy, but I felt calm, and the anger I had was gone. I stared at Diana, wondering what was going on. Well, judging by the visual cue of her eye turning gold, she's enthralling me. Which, for once, I don't blame her. Diana had extended her hand out at me, staring at me with a pained expression as her visible eye glimmered a warm golden color. Was she enthralling me? I didn't feel aroused, but I knew that the warm feeling in my body was a demon's enthrallment spell. Regardless, I felt my throat heal from the scream as I stared at Diana. I mean, wouldn't we all stare at Diana? I am dominantly straight, but damn.
Are you calm now?
Yeah, just talking about how hot you are.
For a human, the girl can really shriek.
Awesome, thanks.
Better than the sirens can. That's for sure.
Wait, you guys have sirens? Can I learn siren magic? That would kind of make it worth the trip.
Poor thing. She must be traumatized.
You have no idea.
Traumatized or psychotically mad.
Or both. It could always be both.
Everyone, hush!
Shh, Mommy's mad. Silent. Shouldn't that be silence engulfed? Never mind. Silent engulfed the room as Diana looked at the four beings behind her. She then turned back to me and held out her hand, ushering me to take it.
Can you stand?
No, I would like to be carried. Can you pick me up? I nodded and took her hand, standing up at last. Aw, we could have had Diana piggyback ride. Would have been fun. I looked around at the other beings in the room. They all kept their gaze to me, unsure of what I would do or say. Understandable. Diana, however, led the conversation. Well, she is the queen. It makes sense she would.
First, can you tell me what happened to you?
I started the Let's Play for the third time. I took a breath, recounting everything that had happened. I was about to go to the church to be married, and then I was attacked by this darkness. A couple of hands grabbed my legs and pulled me into it, and then I fell here. Yeah, Diana, do look disturbed for me.
A shadow summoning.
Oh, that's what that's called. Cool beans. Diana turned to one of the beings, a lanky male, and glared.
One of yours couldn't have.
On my honor, it wasn't any of mine. We have nothing to gain from kidnapping a human.
I
Nor
mean,
do we
you don't know
who this
that.
woman is, anyhow.
Oh, I'm insulted. I'm the main character.
My lady, if I may, I clearly remember hearing imp demons in the void along with her. It must have been the Demon Lord's henchmen.
You kinda buried the lead there, Spear Boy.
Those damnable creatures.
Agreed.
That explains it.
Can you explain it to me? I am the victim here. Diana crossed her arms and looked to me again.
Well, dear, it seems that you were to be either a new harem girl for the Demon Lord to ravish, or bait for the boys to return to their father's side.
Either.
Either way, I doubt you would have lived long had the Demon Lord gotten his hands on you.
No, I am not looking to see what a romance with him would have been like. Ew. A violent shiver ran up my spine. Was it true? I would have died.
Wait a minute. This girl knows about the Demon Lord's heirs?
Seriously, Dee, did you tell them nothing about the human that beat you? Well, I actually see why you wouldn't bring that up.
Yes. Hilariously enough, she was set to marry one of them,
Uh-huh.
as you can see from her garb.
Twirls. Pretty dress. Also, why would they know that? These creatures live in a completely different plane than the human world. I have to imagine their wedding, marriage customs are wildly different. So why would they know what a wedding dress looks like? As Diana motioned towards my dress, I realized how vulnerable I was and felt extremely self-conscious. I wrapped my arms around myself as Diana let out a sigh.
Well, since you do not belong here,
Uh-huh.
the obvious thing to do is to send you home.
Agreed. High five. Good job. I couldn't help but stare wide-eyed at Diana. She was really going to send me home? Really? I couldn't believe my ears. You will really send me back?
Of course. It should be easy to do once everything is in order. It'll be like you never left the human world.
Cool. Let's go. Wait, like I never left the human world? Yeah, where do you think you are right now, Mika? 'Cause, yeah, hair, hands guy, he looks like he could pass for a human. You know Diane ain't human. He looks like an elf, and he looks like some type of fantasy creature cosplay. Unless you think you ended up in a cosplay convention, or some other convention where people would cosplay. Where do you think you are? What do you mean by left the human world? Diana stared before chuckling softly and gesturing to the room and beings within it.
Dear, do you not realize where you are? You are in the demon world.
Okay, back to screaming we go. My mind went blank. No, we scream now. It couldn't be. I couldn't be in the demon world. No way in hell. No, hell is a different place. Remember, it's where Malix and those guys came from? I think the demon world is in the abyssal plains, so it's somewhere else entirely. I felt myself back up against the wall behind me, suddenly afraid. I was in another world? How? That was impossible. No. Remember, we know magic is real? Why is this impossible? It's annoying. It is very annoying. But it is not... never mind. Diana stepped towards me, both of her hands softly trying to show she meant no harm, as she positioned them in front of her body.
Do not panic. We will send you back now, so there's nothing to worry about.
Thank you.
How will you power the spell? Bringing someone here is no easy task, but sending someone back consumes much more energy.
Uh-huh, what she said.
I'll use what energy I have now and rest. We
Okay.
can organize the siege another time when I fully recover. It's not like the Demon Lord can escape the corner we've trapped him in, so we do have some time to spare.
Cool beans, let's go.
You'd waste time and energy on this human.
Uh-huh.
We must strike now while the Demon Lord is weakened.
As much as I want to get back for my wedding, he might have a point. You guys kind of have bigger things going on than just me.
But the human doesn't belong here. She needs to go home.
Agreed, androgynous fairy-looking creature. Bet you guys have bigger problems than me.
Shall I prepare the return spell?
Yes, please.
Do. I grant you permission to use my energy to power the spell.
With a nod, the lanky man held out his hand towards the wall. I looked over in the direction it was aimed at. Diana's shadow. I watched as Diana's shadow simply stood against the wall, mirroring the movements of the real succubus in the room. Before my eyes, the shadow began to morph and expand on the wall on its own. That doesn't sound like a good noise. That doesn't sound like a good noise either. I looked back to Diana to see her wrapping her arms around herself and curling her shoulders over, as if she was in pain. Well, yeah, having your shadow stretched might hurt. Her nails embedded themselves into her forearms, and I could barely make out a painful hiss escaping her clenched teeth. Was the spell hurting her that badly? I turned back to the wall to see Diana's shadow shaking and vibrating, as if it was resisting the change the man was forcing on it.
You will obey my command. Open the gates to the void, and allow passage to the world we seek.
Please. Always remember please. It goes a long way.
Transitum perrenan pectum trenibris. Ubi aperit. Miano io. Perceptio.
Upon Diana's final word, her shadow burst and expanded into an oval-shaped doorway. I stared wide-eyed at the passage before a hand placed itself on my shoulder, forcing me to look over. The one with the spear gently pressed my shoulder forward and looked down at me with an almost stern face.
You must leave now. The faster you leave, the quicker we can close the void.
Agreed. Bye-bye, everybody.
Go! Go! Go get married!
That's the plan. I quickly nodded and lifted the bottom of my dress, stepping forward to make a run for the passageway. However, before I could bolt towards my freedom, a snarl echoed through the room.
How dare you interfere with my summoning!
It feels like everything from there on should be capped with that read. At that very moment, Diana began to scream, arcing her spine and throwing her head back. Around her body were red-tinted bolts of lightning, flashing and shocking her form.
No!
Agreed.
Human! Use the passage! Now!
That doesn't feel safe. He didn't have to tell me twice. I bolted towards the portal, diving forward as I neared it, but I was forced back by a burst of energy and a flash of red light. I fell to the floor, almost slamming my head onto the stone. Ow. Ugh!
Human will never, ever leave this world alive!
Okay, so...
Use mindless word!
Close the portal! The Demon Lord might get through!
I mean, wouldn't that really help matters? Y'all could just kick his ass here and we'd be done.
But the human...
Yes, but the human.
Close it!
Okay. You heard the queen. Although, I do have to wonder how different would the game be if you had the option to... No, keep it open. Let him come. Let's fight. As commanded, the man pulled his hand back, visually forcing his arm back behind his body, and Diana's shadow quickly began to morph back into a simple shadow. The electricity around Diana faded away and she began to tip forward. The man with the spear dropped his weapon and caught Diana in his arms, cradling her to his body as she panted and gasped for air.
I don't sense the Demon Lord anywhere.
Good? Thumbs up? Question mark?
The worm has to scurry through the shadows to try and fight back. He'll be dead soon enough.
Yeah, but if he came here, we could just kill him now and be done.
How is she, Guard?
Yeah, guard, how is she? You know, our queen and leader. Diana seemed to look uninjured, but her body was twitching from the aftermath of the magical attack. And you can hear how shuddering her breathing is. Her visible eye was shut tight as she dug her fingers into the guard's jacket to cling to him. As her eye opened, I saw not a bloody ruby red color, but I saw a cold and unfriendly golden color painted over her iris. Her mouth opened as she panted for air, and I could see hunger in her facial expression. But she continued to stare at the wall, not wanting to make eye contact with anyone. Yeah, she did kinda just get her ass kicked. Horribly.
There are no physical wounds, but she's been weakened. I must give her my energy so she can recover.
Uh-huh. You two kids have fun. Bye. The man swiftly moved and hooked an arm underneath Diana's knees, lifting her up bridal style as she clung to his jacket, shivering. The spear that had fallen to the floor faded into black and purple mist as he quickly left the room with her in his arms. My mind, however, began to panic. I couldn't go home. Why was I being forced to stay? Well, we need a plot for the game, sweetie. Damn the Demon Lord, this wasn't right. Agreed, it's not right, but it is the plot of the game.
There's an imp in the castle. That is the only way the Demon Lord could have been able to interfere.
Huh. That's no good. Don't you have guards or something?
You! Guards by the door! Hunt it down!
Yeah, you were kind of absent when your queen was getting her ass kicked. A pair of guards that were apparently by the door saluted the one commanding them and ran off. And I believe now we have gone back around and I can insert with the rest of the filmed footage. But I'll continue reading this text box just for, completionist's sake. A pair of guards that were apparently by the door saluted the one commanding them and ran off. I felt out of place, alone, terrified as to what was going to happen. The Demon Lord wanted me here, and his words pounded at my mind. Well, better his words pounding at your mind than, pounding in other places, shall we say. Okay, and on that note, I am going to merge back into the rest of the footage, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. The one commanding them and ran off. I felt out of place, alone, terrified as to what was going to happen. I mean, come on, these four don't look like they might kill me. Yet. Despite, besting their queen who was on a really last-ditch effort to save her people by bringing the boys home. I'm sure they have no ill will. None. Anyway. The Demon Lord wanted me here, and his words pounded at my mind. Ew, I do not want to think of the Demon Lord, air quotes, pounding anything. How was I going to get home? Would I ever be able to go home? I mean, do we really want to go home? We could just stay here. Carve out our own little queendom. Just saying.
Hey,
Yes? I looked up to see the winged person hovering near me, before they moved and sat on their knees on the stone ground beside me.
We'll get you home, okay? Diana just needs a little rest, okay?
Uh-huh. Rest. That's what we're calling it.
she needs more than rest.
Thank
She
you.
needs to use a different spell to send her
Oh,
back.
that too.
The Demon Lord will expect her to use the shadow spell again.
Then we use a light spell? That works, right? Right? Guys? And girl? An androgynous one? Once, let's be honest, Shadow could... Not, well, you don't know. The second one in from the left is a guy or a girl at this point, but yeah. Anyway. I'm just saying, it's very androgynous.
How about the normal way? I'm sure we can connect to a witch, or even the warlock she used before, to reopen a portal to the human world.
Yeah, funny story about that human.
The warlock she used to get to the human world died, remember?
Yeah.
And
dum
he
dum.
was the most powerful warlock in the human world.
Really?
Practically a god himself.
Grandpa was
What other
awesome.
human could be used to open a portal without another human dying?
Yeah, no more people dying on my watch. Coffee.
It was merely a suggestion. The faster we get this human home, the faster we can move on and finish off the Demon Lord.
Pounding, finishing him off? Jeez, is everyone here that way?
Well, what are we going to do with the human now?
have a chair at the very least? I mean, I'm willing to camp out here until Diana comes back.
We can give her a room to rest in. Humans need sleep after all. Maybe by the time she wakes up, we'll think of a solution.
Maybe. Maybe not.
Come.
You're not my type, sweetie. Sorry. The woman with the rabbit ears looked down at me and lowered her hand to me, inviting me to take it. She had a kind, but concerned expression on her face, so I trusted her. Okay, what's the story, bro? I slowly took her hand and began to stand up as the fairy figure brushed off the small patches of dust that accumulated on my dress. Wedding dresses are fucking expensive. What? Scrub everything from top to bottom. I am in head to toe white. I will not tolerate this being dirtied. I couldn't do anything. I was forced to listen to the beings around me because there was nothing else I could do. Without them, I couldn't get home. Yeah, true. My heart ached, but I had to accept my predicament. Okay, there's accepting your predicament, and then there's also being, proactive, as the main character we should be. Maybe get word to my fiance and brothers. Well, not Mika's brothers. I think Mika's an only child. But, Damien's siblings and, some synergy going here. Just saying. We have assets. We might as well use them.
Here, I'll bring you to the open ambassador's room.
Nice.
You are free to rest there for now.
Cool. Okay. I was led out of the room and into the hall. I kept my eyes down, trying to make it more of the situation I was in. We're in pretty deep shit. I think that sums it up. I was trapped in the demon world, and Diana was out of commission. For now. The demon lord had plans for me. Ew. But what exactly was he aiming for? Torture, mutilation, harm, all of his faves. I could have been bait. But he's the spineless worm, not you. I could have been revenge. 100% believe that. And your best served cold corpse would really hurt Damien. I didn't know, nor could I figure it out now. At least I was safe. At least I hoped I was safe. Yeah, that's a fair assumption there. The woman led me into the room that practically screamed medieval fantasy. I'm not gonna lie, it is a very, very swanky room. I would love to stay here. Except for, do they have Wi-Fi? Because I need my internet. Everything was clean, but it still had that old age feel. As if no one had ever stepped foot into the room until that moment.
Rest here for now. When Diana is well again, we can discuss what to do.
Okay. Thank you, bunny girl. Thank you. See, Mika's smart. She's nice. Well, she's not really smart. She can't wrap her head around a simple concept. I nodded to the woman before she gently curtsied and left, closing the door behind her. I took a moment to observe my surroundings, interested in understanding the aesthetic. What's to understand? It's medieval fantasy. This was fantasy turned into reality. It was like I had gone back in time. Only it's much cleaner. Why, though? Was the demon world really that behind the times? Or did magic supersede technology and this was the result? I don't know, it's awesome. Despite the situation I was in, which was beyond heartbreaking and terrible, my curiosity began to fester in my mind, as if I was given a golden opportunity to learn something new. However, my thoughts began to drift, and I felt myself becoming weak and dizzy, no doubt from the shock and trauma I had gone through. I stumbled towards the bed, needing to sit down and let everything settle in without passing out. Yeah, fainting is bad. As my rear hit the mattress, however, I let out a small pleasured sigh. Holy crap, this was a comfy mattress. I felt myself fall back, and my entire body simply melted into the softness beneath my body. Awesome. It was was like I was sleeping on a cloud. Actually, it would be really uncomfortable to sleep on a cloud. They are not as soft as you'd think. Was that possible? Demon magic may have had something to do with it, but I was certain that I was drifting into an almost blissful sleep just by lying on the blankets and mattress, not caring that I was still in my dress. Well, he didn't exactly give me anything to change into. And being in a strange place, in a strange world, I would not be comfortable napping in just my bra and panties. I closed my eyes and drifted to sleep. I needed the rest, since Diana wouldn't be available for a while anyway. Darkness surrounded my mind. My dreams remained silent and hushed in the cool and calm black. No nightmares appeared, and no sounds were made. I was simply resting, and that was all my body needed. Among other things, yes, you'll eventually need water and food. I let my thoughts wander in my subconscious, thinking about what was going to happen now. What will the boys do when they realize I'm gone? Will they ever give me a change of clothes? What will he do? I imagine him finding a way through to the demon world and pulling me back to where I belonged, wrapping me in his arms and swearing never to let me go. You know, for a black dream, you're having a lot of thoughts. I would be relieved and we would be married just as we planned. How unrealistic was that? I mean, it would make for a very short game. I had to be realistic right now. I mean, do we? We're in a medieval fantasy. I was stuck, and the only one who seemed to be able to send me back was Diana and her companions, whoever they were. Yeah, I should have really asked for names. I had to trust them, whether I liked it or not. They've been reasonably nice to you. Where is this coming from? Eventually, I did rise from my sleep, somehow fully refreshed and calm. How could that have been?
Did you have a good rest?
Ah! Punch! I turned my head to see Diana at the door, arms crossed and leaning against the door's archway. She had a look of concern and pure curiosity on her face as she awaited my answer. Yeah, Are you okay, you? Actually, you know what? Yes. Yes, I am okay in that I didn't get hit with all the lightning.
Good. A good rest is always important, especially to humans.
And I'm sure you had a very good rest as well, nudge nudge wink wink. How much did your guard you? Oh, what about demons?
We rest as well, but it's not sleep like you humans do. We simply rest with our eyes open.
God, that sounds awful. Because, I mean, at some point your eyes would start to dry up. And they clearly have eyelids, so... Why?
It's easier to avoid getting killed when your eyes are open.
And you let me sleep knowing this. I gulped. Were demons really that paranoid? Or were they paranoid for a reason? I'm gonna say paranoid for a reason. We literally saw Diana's shadow turned into a portal. I'm just saying, shit's weird here, yo. Diana shook her head and stepped into the room, closing the door behind her.
So we need to find another way to get you back to the human world.
It
won't be easy, but I believe it can be done by tonight at the latest.
Woohoo! Let's go. Tonight? Really? Diana nodded and crossed her arms again, leaning on one hip.
It will take time to get our shadow agents to gather the necessary supplies, but they are not hard to obtain, being that we're in a position of power. You must be lucky.
Yes, so lucky that my father-in-law frickin' kidnapped me. What do you mean? Diana sighed before casting a short spell into her breath. In front of me appeared a floating map, almost like a hologram. Gem and the holograms? No, the movie is bad. The 80s cartoon is pretty good, though. It showed an entire world with mountains, plains, and forests, and it was all surrounded by sea and water. Diana pointed at a marker that had a purple banner at its tip. It was marked in the center of some mountains and forest area. It was also the very center of the map.
That is where we are currently, the center of the Abyssal Plains.
Okay, cool story, bro. Diana then ran her finger in a circle around the marker, showing a perimeter around it, not just drawing boobs with her fingers.
Everything we need for the spell is within this area. It will just take time to gather the materials and prepare it.
Cool. I nodded, understanding the situation. I was going to hopefully be able to go home tonight, which was better than not going home at all. Yeah, I'm sure everything is fine at home. So what should I do until then?
My suggestion? Stay in this room.
Okay.
I can mark this room as off-limits so that no demon may enter that would confuse you for an intruder and kill you.
How many other human guests do you have? A serious question, D. You're not going to answer me. Oh well. I gulped. I did not want to die. I mean, blood on my wedding dress? Ew. As Diana made the magical map disappear, she shrugged.
However, I cannot stop you from whatever you wish to do.
I mean, you
Just
could.
don't leave the castle.
I'm serious. You could just enthrall her, and she would be, like, the perfect house guest. I nodded, and she turned to leave. As she stepped out, Diana looked back to me with a reassuring look.
We'll get you back to the human world. I promise you that.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Finally, she left me alone in the room. I let out a small sigh and looked up at the ceiling. What does the ceiling look like? Is it just plain wood? Is there a painting? Is there carvings? I'm curious. I had to wait until tonight to actually do anything. What was I going to do? Nap? Journal? Appreciate the room? I would personally go with napping and appreciating the room. Part of me agreed with Diana's suggestion, wanting to stay in the room and be safe. Yeah, being safe, important, in case the guards didn't know who I was and would kill me on sight. You know, you could just say, there's a guest. Grab a guard, have them stay with me all day, and go, you're her escort now. Go wherever she wants on castle grounds. Stop her from getting killed. It feels like this would be a lot more easy to solve than just stay in your room. My curiosity, however, wouldn't leave me alone and wanted me to explore the castle. No. I was handed an opportunity to explore a castle in the demon world, and part of me did not want it to go to waste. Girl, priorities. I was torn on what to do. I'm gonna obey and stay in the room. It was better safe than sorry. I fell back onto the bed and closed my eyes, contemplating taking a nap to make time go by faster. Always valid. Staying in my room was the best option for me, both so that I wouldn't get lost and that I'd be okay in case the guards were on duty. I let out a small sigh before looking around the room. Was there anything I wanted to look at closer?
Excuse me.
Ah! Slap, 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 slap. Sorry, bunny girl. Knock. It's not that hard. Before I could find anything at the door, towards the voice... That didn't come out right at all. Before I could find anything, I looked to the door towards the voice. Peeking in was the rabbit woman, cautiously remaining behind the door while looking at me.
Are you feeling okay?
I'm not, but, you know. Huh? Yeah, I am, thank you. Please, come in. I trusted this woman, despite barely knowing her. Demon powers! Stop using your powers on me. She assisted me in coming to this room, and she was one of Diana's comrades, so I felt that I could put my trust in her. Big mistake, she is an assassin. She is the imp demon. The woman nodded before stepping into the room and closing the door behind her. She turned to me and stood by the door.
I'm assuming Diana told you about the situation.
What situation are we talking about? That could mean many things. Yeah, I'll be back home by tonight. That's the hope, anyway.
Yes, we sent our agents as soon as we knew what we had to gather. We're positive they will turn up before nightfall, and we'll be able to cast a gateway spell.
Nice. But we could have gotten Adele, though, not a gateway. That's a very old computer joke. I nodded and let out a small sigh. God, you have sighed a lot in this session. It would be a long wait. But it would be worth it if it worked. The woman, however, took a step forward.
May I ask you something?
I guess. I looked to the woman, slightly confused. Sure, go ahead. What is it?
Well,
I watched as the woman reached and rubbed one of her ears, almost in nervousness. Was she nervous about? What? What was she nervous about? Finally, she spoke again, releasing her ear.
would you mind if I asked you about the human world?
Yes, I do. Terribly. Stop fishing me for information. The human world? Why would you be curious about the human world? It's a mess. She was the demon that looked like an anthropomorphic rabbit. And someone's furry dream. The woman hugged her large staff against her body as she shrugged.
How are things like in the human world? Is there equality amongst your races? I've only heard stories, but since you're a human yourself, you would know.
My mind ran back to the social life of the human world. At least in America, we claim to be equal. Yeah, claimed. Keyword there. But we had major prejudice amongst our races, whether we liked it or not. Hey, at least she's honest. I found myself to be on neutral ground, wishing to be extreme in either opinion. But knowing the difference between what was morally right and wrong. I looked to the woman and shook my head, making her eyes widen slightly. We're not exactly equal. I mean, we tried, but we're pretty divided. However, it's only one of many problems we face. The woman nodded before walking over and sitting down on the bed beside me.
I see.
Pillow fight!
Are there major wars fought because of it?
No pillow fight. Gosh darn it, game. In a way, we have marches and movements, but we at least try not to escalate it to war where I live. Yes, but only where I live. It's better to resolve things without violence.
That's smart. I hope that equality can be found in your world.
Same. What about here? The woman shook her head, her smile turning a bit grim. I could tell that things were rough here, just from the look of her expression.
We have sort of a caste system here. What kind of demon you are determines what life you live.
Uh-huh.
Demons of Lilith like Diana are usually royals and nobles, while
Good to know.
animal demons like me are much lower in the ranks.
But what about the sirens? Where do they fit into the structure? Because I would still really like to meet one. I could hear her anger and shame, just from her voice alone. Were things really that bad here? Uh-huh. The caste system sucks. That's horrible. I'm so sorry.
It's alright. That's
No,
why
it's
I joined the
not.
rebellion. We intend to make changes, make it better. I want to be part of that and help fix things.
Good for you. Be the solution. There was a confidence in her words that didn't match the look in her eyes. She knew something was off in what she said, but she expressed it anyway as her reply to me. I don't know whether or not to prod or keep silent. And I don't either, because strangely this is not in my walkthrough. I wouldn't be here long, so I decided to keep my mouth shut. The woman shook her head out, as if she were scattering thoughts from her mind, and looked to me.
So, you are getting married.
Uh-huh.
You must be excited to get back with your family and soon-to-be partner.
Uh-huh. Very much so. Huh? Oh, yeah. I'm excited to go back. For a brief moment, I had nearly forgotten that I was getting married. Bullshit. That would always be at the back of my head. My mind began to wander to one who was waiting for me, making my heart ache. As I looked down at my lap, the rabbit woman looked down as well.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you upset. But you will be home soon.
Fingers crossed. Either hers behind her back or, me for good luck. I nodded. I shouldn't have let it get me down. But I really did miss being in the human world. It could always be worse. I think anyone in my situation would understand. Especially since I was a bride. Yes, and everyone loves brides. We didn't invent the term bridezilla out of nowhere. I looked at my hand, seeing my engagement ring, and imagining the wedding ring that was made for me replacing it. Soon enough, it would be on my finger, and I would be able to continue living my life as normal. Yes, normal, with my former incubus boyfriend, now husband, and my potentially haunted mansion. Pulling myself out of my thoughts, I looked at the woman, and she stood and bowed to me.
Well, I shall leave you be. I will bring food whenever it is ready, so that you don't starve.
Good, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it. With that, the woman left, leaving me alone in my room to wait. And yes, with that, I am going to throw down a save real quick, as soon as I can find a blank slot. And we are going to call this session to a close. So, until next, Taklikatilakido.